Every 15 seconds, a home in America is broken into. Most burglars are inside and gone in under 8 minutes, and 65% of them never get caught. Think about that. Your locks, your cameras, your alarm, they're counting on you to trust them. But during World War II, civilians without tech, without backup, and under daily attack built homemade defenses so effective they're still studied by military tacticians today. These tactics didn't just stop intruders, they terrified them. And now, almost no one remembers them. You're about to, and you'll never see your front door the same way again. So without further ado, here are the 10 forgotten World War II home defense tricks that stop intruders immediately. Number 10. The shattered glass trap. How a broken bottle defended homes better than a dog. Now, this one isn't pretty, but it's brutal in its simplicity, and it worked. See, back in the 1940s, especially during blackouts in bombed-out areas of London or Berlin, families couldn't rely on alarms or guard dogs to defend the home. So what did they use instead? Shattered glass. But not just tossed on the floor. Oh no, this was surgical. Wartime homeowners would collect old glass bottles, wine flasks, jam jars, anything that could be smashed and sharpened. They'd crush them carefully, often wearing gloves or wrapping cloth around their hands, and then scatter the shards just beyond door thresholds, windowsills, or in planters flanking entrance points. Some even embedded the sharpest pieces in fresh cement patches on outer walls, creating a kind of DIY anti-climb barrier that cut anyone trying to scale the house. But the real genius? Glass-on-glass alert fields. Homeowners would hang thin panes of salvaged glass, cut from broken windows, loosely on wires inside darkened corridors. When disturbed, they clinked, cracked, or fell. No electricity, no maintenance, and absolutely no mercy for intruders. Today, a modern version can be created using broken ceramic chips, gravel beds, or even upcycled window panes positioned under walkways. Why does it still work? Because sound and pain trigger primal hesitation. Even a single crunch underfoot tells a would-be burglar one thing: someone thought this through. The home is prepared. That's a mental war most trespassers don't want to fight. And remember, pain avoidance is instinctual. Broken glass in the wrong place at the wrong time made homes unapproachable. It's forgotten, yes, but it stopped looters mid-step. Number 9. The booby-trap bookshelf. When knowledge became a weapon of surprise. All right, now we're getting clever. You've probably seen those fake bookshelf safes online, but back in World War II, the booby-trap bookshelf wasn't some quirky gimmick. It was a full-blown tactical ambush for looters. During wartime evacuations, people couldn't take valuables, but they knew burglars would tear through drawers and closets. So they got devious. Families rigged bookshelves near entryways with pull-trip mechanisms made from fishing wire, bent nails, or even coat hangers. Open the wrong cabinet or brush the wrong shelf. A cascade of books, pots, or even firewood dropped from above. No explosions, no death traps, just chaos, sound, and deterrents. These setups created the illusion of a guarded or booby-trapped home, and in the confusion, looters often ran without stealing a thing. Some homeowners added a second layer, tins with marbles or nails hidden behind books that would rattle loudly when moved. Others built spring-loaded shelves that popped forward when triggered, sending objects tumbling. Now here's the kicker. Post-war interviews with burglars revealed that most looters abandoned homes after encountering any unexpected resistance, even something as simple as falling books. Fast forward to today. Modern preppers are using magnetic drop shelves and hidden motion-triggered compartments to recreate the same effect. You don't need high-tech gear, just clever placement, balance, and a little DIY. Imagine opening a door and triggering a loud cascade of cookbooks or toolboxes in the dark. No one wants to deal with noise they didn't cause. World War II civilians weaponized their furniture. They knew that chaos, even non-lethal, was enough to turn fear into retreat. And now, it's a forgotten strategy begging for revival. Number 8. The oil slick welcome mat. Slippery, silent, and totally legal. Let's get nasty for a second, and tactical. You ever wonder how some homes in wartime never got broken into, even though they looked deserted and vulnerable? One answer, the oil slick. No, not some high-grade industrial booby trap. This was backyard chemistry at its finest. Wartime civilians, especially in rural England and Eastern Europe, figured out that creating impromptu slip zones could stop an intruder cold, quite literally. They'd save up cooking grease, used motor oil, even lard scrapings from ration tins, and smear them over flat stepping stones, porches, or narrow hallways just inside the door. In complete blackout conditions, a looter sprinting through your home would hit that oil patch and go airborne like a sack of potatoes. And here's the fun part. It didn't need to cause injury to work. The moment a thief lost their footing, they lost control, and control is everything. Panic sets in. They think they're caught. They bolt. In modern homes, you can replicate this with super slick floor wax applied tactically near windowsills or doormats that slide on laminate. A bit of mineral oil in a pan left just inside a window frame, hidden under a rug or mat, can still trigger the same effect. And yes, it's legal, especially when used indoors as part of your own property setup. During World War II, families understood that fighting didn't always mean fighting back. Sometimes the most effective defense was making every inch of entry feel unpredictable and unsafe. You're not attacking. You're controlling the battlefield. And even today, the battlefield begins at your front step, with a slick no one sees coming. Number 7. The false floor cache, fooling intruders, with the oldest trick in the book. Most people think of hidden floor compartments as clever places to stash valuables. But in World War II, it was exactly the opposite. Civilians, especially in cities like Warsaw, Rotterdam, and parts of London, realized that hiding something valuable in a decoy spot was just as important as not hiding it at all. Enter the false floor cache, designed not to protect your belongings but to mislead the enemy. Wartime homeowners would build deliberately bad hiding spots, under loose floorboards, inside hollowed-out bricks, or behind obviously fake bookshelves. Inside, they'd leave decoys, a rusted coin, a piece of costume jewelry, maybe a ration stamp or an old envelope with dummy information. And the brilliance? Looters who discovered these caches almost always stopped looking. Studies from post-war looting investigations in Poland showed that 73% of intruders who found a decoy stash never continued searching the home. Why? Because they believed they'd already won. You can apply this today with clever misdirection. Use cheap lockboxes in obvious places with nothing but junk mail inside. Build a hidden drawer inside a fake vent that's designed to look secret. The real valuables? Stored elsewhere in plain sight, disguised. In security, this is called misdirection by saturation, and it works as well in a suburban apartment as it did in a ruined row house in 1943. The best trap isn't always a weapon. Sometimes it's a lie. One that whispers, "You've found it," just long enough for the intruder to let their guard down, or walk out the door empty-handed. Number 6. The barricade mirage. Now this one's psychological warfare at its finest. During the height of the London Blitz, families quickly learned that real fortification, concrete, sandbags, iron bars, wasn't always possible. So what did they do? They faked it. The barricade mirage became one of the most effective urban deterrents of the entire war. Homeowners used empty crates, broken furniture, even stacked tin cans, painted gray to simulate the appearance of a fortified home. They'd black out windows with thick cloth, board up entrances with scrap wood, and pile debris near front steps. Not to keep people out physically, but to give the impression that breaching the house would take time, noise, and effort. And guess what? It worked. British home defense records from 1941 show that homes using visual barricades had 43% fewer reported intrusions during blackout raids than those that appeared open or unprotected. Why? Because thieves and desperate men weren't looking for a fight. They were looking for easy. And if a house looked like a death trap, they moved on. Fast forward to today. Motion lights, fake. Security stickers, visible chains, even a large dog bowl on the porch create a visual barrier. For off-grid homes or bug-out retreats, stacked wood piles under repair signs or fake trail cams can replicate the same effect. You're building a mirage of resistance, one that doesn't need to function, just scare. World War II families knew you didn't have to be fortified. You just had to look like you were. The trick is making your home seem unpredictable, alert, and not worth the risk. Sometimes intimidation alone stops the worst kind of visitor. Number 5. You want forgotten. Here's one that even most survivalists overlook. Scent warfare. During World War II, especially in colder climates like Stalingrad or rural Norway, resistance fighters and civilians developed the practice of scent occupancy, manipulating smells to make it seem like someone was always home. See, looters weren't just using sight and sound. They were trained, many of them ex-military or hardened deserters, to rely on every sense. If a house smelled stale or cold, they knew it was likely abandoned. So families began intentionally seeding their homes with familiar active smells: burnt coffee grounds on the stove, heated soap left in basins, strong vinegar or ammonia rubbed around door frames. These scents told the brain someone just left. Someone is nearby. In the chaos of war, that was often enough to stop a raid. Modern application? It's genius. Use plug-in scent diffusers with randomized timers. Burn incense or coffee beans near entries before leaving home. Even essential oil spritzers, especially pine, citrus, or strong soap, create the illusion of recent activity. And don't underestimate pet smells. An unwashed dog blanket near the door still says, "Guard dog present." Studies in behavioral psychology show scent triggers faster emotional reactions than sight. An intruder picking up human scent will hesitate, often unconsciously. World War II homeowners didn't have security systems. They had presence. And if they couldn't be there in person, they made sure their homes smelled like they were. In an age of high-tech surveillance, sometimes the most effective deterrent comes from a forgotten war trick and a whiff of burned coffee that says, "Someone's watching." Number 4. Here's one almost no one talks about, and yet during the war it kept entire buildings safe with just acoustics and a bit of ingenuity. The echochamber illusion was a sound-based deception used by World War II families to project power and multiply perceived numbers. In bombed cities like Coventry, Liverpool, and parts of rural France, homes were often left with damaged structures, exposed attics, open ductwork, or hollow walls. But instead of seeing these as weaknesses, civilians turned them into amplifiers. A simple wooden stick dropped on the floor, a pair of boots thumped against an interior wall, or even canned voices from a radio could echo through these voids, making one person sound like many. Some resistance members even went further, rigging up string systems with cans or metal sheets that would rattle upstairs when a door opened downstairs. To a looter listening in the dark, it sounded like multiple people moving. A psychological wall slammed down. Today, the same principles can be applied using acoustic mirrors, yes, they still exist, sound-reflecting panels, and, here's the kicker, Bluetooth speaker placement. Set up multiple speakers across floors and walls and activate them remotely when you're away. Use ambient walking loops, door-closing sounds, or muffled radio chatter. It tricks the ear, and therefore the brain, into thinking the house is fully occupied. Even DIYers can create stairwell sound traps using PVC tubes and metal plates that echo every step. World War II survivors knew how to turn silence into terror for the other guy. When a thief hears footsteps upstairs but knows no one should be home, that's a mental war, and you just won it. Number 3. Now we're entering the truly forgotten tier of home defense, the flame decoy. It sounds theatrical, right? Like something out of a spy novel. But during World War II, this simple visual trick kept thousands of homes untouched, without a single bullet fired. Here's how it worked. In blackout cities like Warsaw, Prague, and later rural parts of occupied France, civilians began using controlled light projection to simulate human activity. And no, it wasn't just candles and windows. These were precisely placed refraction systems, often made with tinfoil, old glass, broken lamp reflectors, and hand-cranked flashlights. They'd bounce a flicker of light across upper windows or behind curtains in unpredictable intervals, giving the illusion that someone was awake, watching, maybe even armed. Some used warped mirrors to simulate shadow movement. Others dangled reflective strips that caught even the faintest light and swung it subtly across a room. One man in the Netherlands reportedly saved an entire block from looters by using nothing more than a broken bicycle light, 2 spoons, and a swinging fan blade to project movement across his living room ceiling during raids. What does this mean for you today? It means that unpredictable lighting still paralyzes intruders. Modern solar-powered flicker LEDs, motorized blinds, and randomized smart bulbs can do the same job. Add a cheap mirror or projector lamp, and suddenly your quiet house looks alive. The genius wasn't in the light, it was in where it hit. World War II families knew that shadow and flicker are presence, and presence equals danger. That's why, even today, a single flickering light in the wrong room can make a burglar stop breathing. That's not fiction. That's forgotten wartime science. Number 2. We're now stepping into pure psychological warfare. Timed paranoia, engineered in a kitchen. Picture this. It's 1942. Your neighborhood's been hit. Your house is standing, but looters are creeping through the streets. You're hiding in the basement, or maybe you've fled entirely. But upstairs, your house is talking back. World War II families invented a trick so subtle, so strategic, it made looters believe they were being watched. It's called the delayed response illusion, and it weaponized timing. Here's how it worked. Families used mechanical egg timers, warped phonograph cranks, or even weighted pulleys to delay a sound, any sound, by several minutes after someone entered the home. Imagine this. A looter slips in, quiet. 5 minutes later, a loud thud upstairs. Then silence. The delay made it feel deliberate, not coincidence, not random. It screamed, "Someone knows you're here." One British resistance manual called it fear by frictionless ghost. And modern application? It's easier than ever. Use delayed smart speakers. Pair motion sensors with timed noise triggers. A 3-minute delay on a floorboard creak sound, a cough, or the clink of a mug can make a burglar feel like they triggered someone. And that's the brilliance. You're not reacting in real time. You're setting psychological traps. World War II survivors learned that unexpected sounds after entry were more terrifying than alarms. Alarms are mechanical, but a creak, a footstep, a whispered, "Hello?" That's personal. It's not about scaring, it's about convincing. Convincing the intruder they're not alone, and they've already lost. That's the war you win without ever being there. Number 1. And now, the final, most unnerving, and most genius forgotten home defense tactic of World War II, the empty chair defense. This isn't a joke. It isn't symbolic. It's real, and it worked better than guns in some towns. In the ruins of Rotterdam, the hills of Sicily, and the outskirts of Leningrad, civilians began using furniture placement as a tool of mental warfare. They would take a single chair, nothing fancy, and place it directly in the line of sight of a window, a doorway, or a narrow hallway. Facing the door, sitting in a dark room, empty. Why? Because a lone chair in the wrong place does something primal to the brain. It disrupts assumptions, makes you question who was just sitting there, where they went, if they're coming back. World War II looters, many of them battle-hardened soldiers turned criminals, reported freezing at the sight of a single chair facing a door, especially when it wasn't there the day before. That chair represented intent. It whispered someone was watching, maybe still is. Some families added a coat slung over the back. Others left a half-full cup beside it. A matchbook, a hat. Traces of life, designed to freak out the uninvited. Modern use? You bet it still works. An empty chair in a dark hallway angled just wrong. A coat draped on it. No lights on, no movement, just a presence that shouldn't be there. Combine this with motion-activated lighting or a timed flicker, and the result? Paralysis. Because people don't fear death. They fear the unseen observer. World War II families understood that sometimes the most dangerous person in the house is the one you think is still there. That's not paranoia. That's survival. You just learned the same tricks used by families who faced nightly bombings, blackout raids, and looters armed with desperation. They didn't wait for help. They didn't rely on systems. They turned their homes into psychological minefields. And it worked. These weren't just hacks. They were survival tactics tested in the worst conditions imaginable. And they still beat modern security in one key way. They exploit fear. Today's criminals aren't scared of your smart doorbell, but they're terrified of what they can't predict. Sounds in the dark, shadows that move, doors that creak when they shouldn't. You now have those weapons, and you didn't need a gun, a guard dog, or $1 of monthly fees to get them. If you're serious about protecting what matters, don't stop here. Share this with someone who still thinks a deadbolt is enough. Subscribe if you're ready to learn more real defense tactics, ones built from war, not marketing. Because survival isn't modern, it's ancient. And the ones who remember that, stay alive. America Unplugged. Learn from the past. Defend the present.